Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Good afternoon, this lovely day when it may get up to 60 degrees today. And everybody should get out and enjoy today. It's St. Patrick's Day, but do it after the show, please. I am Robert Press, the official reporter for the Bronx Chronicle and several other outlets I cover. And I'm live in my Bronx studio while the Mayor Eric Adams, has just stepped off as he's marching in the 262nd St. Patrick's Day Parade. Now, I was corrected on an earlier version. Someone said to me that there's only 261 St. Patrick's Day parades. In 2021, it was a very, very small parade of about 150 people that certain people didn't march, unions, and a lot of other people didn't march because of COVID. And let's get one thing straight about COVID now. That's when COVID numbers were way up there. People were getting sick and dying. COVID numbers are now by the borough here. In the Bronx, COVID is down to 1.58% as of yesterday, according to the state, according to the governor of the state. Brooklyn is at 1.12%. Queens is at 1.90%. Manhattan is the highest at 2.13%. And out in Staten Island, they're at 1.56%. So I expect everything to be back to normal soon. And Mayor Adams should be lifting those regulations, as well as the governor, on businesses and certain government organizations. There's no reason why we can't have in-person meetings at community boards rather than this over-the-air crap, pardon my language. But happy St. Patrick's Day to all. Look for that four-leaf clover or that leprechaun that might be hiding at the end of the rainbow today. Our Bronx Frogs Neck Day Parade was a wonderful event this past Sunday. On Tuesday, the Bronx Chamber of Commerce holds their event at Rambling House in Woodlawn. And then the following day, the borough president is holding her Irish Heritage or St. Patrick's Day event also at Rambling in Woodlawn. Let's go to national news, though. Okay. Are we headed for World War III? Okay, with the Ukraine-Russian war? Because what's happened is a Russian Su-27 fighter jet clipped one of the U.S. MQ-9 reefer drones, causing the drone to crash into the Black Sea. Now, a complaint has been issued to the Russian government, and we'll see how, if it'll escalate into bringing more U.S. weapons or troops into the Ukraine-Russian war. That would then lead to World War III between the United States and Russia, and everybody knows nobody's going to win that. If you ever saw the movie War Games, that the missiles come from here, they come from there, and wipe out everybody. So there's no winner if there's World War III. Let's see, what's next? Our George Santos update. Well, it appears that George Santos has filed that he's running for re-election. Whether he's going to run or not is another story, but he has filed his re-election papers. Okay, here it is. He filed the necessary paperwork to run for another term. That does not mean he will run for another term. It just may be a tool to have the investigation stopped and the deal made that, well, I'll tell you what, if I don't run, then you don't investigate me anymore and we'll just call it a day. That's been the normal trend here, especially with our district attorney and our U.S. attorneys, that it goes back to when there was the Derek Jeter signature court on a petition. The U.S. attorney and that elected official made a deal that, okay, I'll leave office and I won't run again. You don't press charge, or we won't press charges if you leave office. So that could be a bargaining tool by George Santos that, well, I'm going to run again, but you know what? If you don't press any charges on me, I won't run. So let's get rid of that one. But the Justice Department and SEC have opened investigations into the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank, which is the second largest bank failure in the United States history. And it's also being investigated by, what also is being investigated is the actions of its senior officers. Why did the bank fail and what happened? Only the senior management can say. Next item. A bipartisan, bi-state congressional member, Republican New York Representative Nicole Malliotakis and Democrat New Jersey Representative Josh Gottheimer announced the creation of a bipartisan congressional anti-congestion tax caucus, which is designed to kill the plan to toll motorists who drive south of 60th Street in Manhattan. They are joined by Republican New York Representative Tom Lawler and Republican New Jersey Representative Tom Kean, who were not at the announcement. The two members of Congress that were at the announcement have now lobbied for 2 months to stop the 2019 New York State law of congestion pricing. They want the U.S. Office of Inspector General and the U.S. Transportation Department to audit how the MTA is spending, or it spent about $15 billion in federal COVID-19 relief funds it received in 2020 and 2021. The MTA budget shows the funds were used to offset losses to fare and toll revenue during the pandemic. But these Congress members want to know exactly where each dollar went. Next item. It appears that last week I told you about one of Mayor Eric Adams' aides who was being investigated by the Campaign Finance Board. Well, it appears that Mayor Adams is being investigated by the Campaign Finance Board now. What is going on is they're looking into his inauguration ceremony and the private contributors who were doing business before the city, who contributed to the mayor's celebration. What can I tell you? Yeah, let's move on to our next item. This one's a good one, too. New York Attorney General Letitia James will be in West Village on Sunday, March 19th, to host a Drag Story Hour for Children, which is co-sponsored by Drag Story Hour in New York City. That organization received $46,000 from city contracts for appearances at public schools, festivals, and libraries, according to city records. Since January, Drag Story Hour New York City has organized 49 drag programs at 34 schools, elementary, middle, and high school, with appearances in all 5 boroughs, according to its website. I am not against this. Don't jump on me. I'm just reporting news, okay? So that's for that. Next item. We have Assembly member Juan, I hope I get his last name, Ardilla, who is being accused by 2 women from 2015 of sexually doing the wrong thing with him. Okay, but it appears that he's not likely to face any disciplinary action from within the assembly. After the 2 women have accused him, because it's 8 years ago, unfortunately, and well, our old friend Ruben Diaz Sr. is sticking his 2 cents into this now, and he's saying that, well, it was one woman who went after Governor Cuomo, and you guys had him all jumped on him to leave office. Why isn't this assembly member being forced out of office like Governor Cuomo was? Is it because this guy is a progressive and Cuomo wasn't? Well, our good friend Senator Ruben Diaz, a former councilman and state senator Ruben Diaz, I'm sure he'll take care of this. And he'll put more than just his 2 cents into this. Well, next item. New York City schools many New York City schools have declining enrollment for one reason or another. It could be because of COVID. It could be because they are lousy, especially here in the Bronx. Bronx public schools before the pandemic were performing at 67%. After the pandemic, it said that all public schools are performing lower than before the pandemic. So how low are Bronx public schools performing? And that could be the reason why parents are leaving. There was a program once before called SES, Supplemental Educational Services. This is years ago, where if the school was failing you, especially in the Bronx, that the school could tutor your child. So I was a parent leader at the time, and I said to the superintendent, if the school is failing the child, why would the parent give the school a second chance to fail the child? But what's happening here is with the enrollment, each school gets paid a certain amount per student. So if you have 1,000 students and you're getting $1,000, that's 100,000. That's $1 million for the school, rather. But if you only have 500 students in that school, you're only going to get $500,000 if you get $1,000 a student. It's much more than that. I think it's up to about $25,000 a student now. So with every loss of students, that's a problem. And that's why many schools try and bring in students, even if they have to bring them from other areas. There is $160 million in stimulus money from the federal government that could offset some of this declining enrollment and soften the blow. Because last year, hundreds of millions of dollars were cut from school budgets, which resulted in cuts to after-school programs and arts programs. What happens then is if a student's not enrolled in an after-school program, they're out on the street. And what are they doing out on the street? Well, by fifth grade, they could be already in a gang, and, that's their new family. So they're hanging out in the parks and anywhere and up to who knows whatever. Okay, so what can I tell you? I'm going to take a commercial break right now because we're at the almost middle mark of our show. So let me just pause right now. And Mr. Producer, can we have our commercial, please?
Do you wish your business makes it to the top list of the most searched for business in the US and around the world? Or are you searching for halal compliant services and products online? Then Halal Finder is your online resource directory pointing you to the right places and products. Let's help you explore halal products and services of your choice as we manage many halal businesses across the world. Promote your business with halalfinder.com, the only plug you need to grow. Our services include business listing, digital marketing, branding strategy, SEO campaigns, crowdfunding, and humanitarian support. On our Compassion Corner, we offer crowdfunding of halal ventures and humanitarian services. In this section, you can make or receive donations, start donation campaign, and check existing donation campaigns. And by paying zakat and sadaqah to our Compassion platform on halalfinder.com, you have supported the poor, widows or widowers, orphans, and the likes around the world. Contact us at info@halalfinder.com or call +1 718 822 5555. Get started today at halalfinder.com.
Okay, welcome back on this beautiful day. I wish I could have been out there on Fifth Avenue taking pictures of Mayor Adams. Why do I keep calling him de Blasio? It seems that maybe there's no difference between Mayor Adams and Mayor de Blasio, that Mayor Adams has just continued Mayor de Blasio's policies, only with different people. But I'll have to get used to calling him Mayor Adams, Mayor Eric Adams. But like I said, today is St. Patrick's Day. Mayor Adams, I got it right that time. Mayor Adams is marching across Fifth Avenue. And, well, what can I tell you? All right. I'm going to get into the budget battle up in Albany, because what's happening now is normally almost every year we've had a balanced budget by April 1st. This year, things look a lot different. After the Senate rejected the chief judge, I forgot his name already, that's how long ago it was, Governor Hochul has been a little hostile towards the Senate and Assembly, and they're being more hostile to them. She had 3 items, the governor, that she wanted. She wants her goal of 800,000 new units of housing in a decade. She wants to, which would include replacing the 421A tax break to build more affordable housing. However, in both the Assembly and State Senate, they are looking at more tenant protection, the good cause eviction, and restrictions on rent increases, which the governor is just totally ignoring or just not looking at. The second item the governor wants is that she wants to tax the rich, not by Hochul, but who wants to extend it's not just tax the rich. She wants to extend the higher corporate tax meant to sunset next year. Also, she wants an increase to the payroll mobility tax to help the MTA. Then the third item, which the UFT-controlled assembly is against, she wants 85 new charter schools in New York City, or the charter school cap lifted, which, the assembly is already objecting to. The mayor says that it could cost the city $1 billion, but Hochul's, who says she's just responding to parents who want choice, especially those in the Black and brown community where the public schools are failing them. This makes sense. It's a good idea. However, as a public school parent myself years ago, I was opposed to charter schools or the charter school idea. I wanted more and better public schools. Unfortunately, in the years since I left, the public schools haven't gotten better, especially here in the Bronx. Maybe if you live in Manhattan or Brooklyn, the public schools are better. However, we'll get back to that in a little bit. Now, it seems that the Senate has passed a full Build Public Renewals Act, and the Assembly has not acted on this as of yet. We're getting one House bills. The Senate is proposing one thing. The Assembly is proposing another thing. Governor Hochul is proposing a third item. Like, for instance, this Build Public Renewals Act, Governor Hochul has proposed a watered-down version. The Senate has already passed Senate Bill 4134, a resolution that rejects the governor's watered-down version. Then there's green energy production, producing only renewable energy that the state passed. And this, but the governor is against it. She's watering it down. It's also stalled in the Assembly. What has to happen, this bill mandates, by the way, that building more renewable plants, phasing out the old coal burning or oil burning energy plants for new green renewable energy entirely. The bill also includes taking out your gas stoves or no new gas stoves in buildings, that buildings be all electric for heat, for gas, and for electricity. The governor is basically indicating right now that there will be a late budget if lawmakers reject her proposals. She's also asking for bail reform. Bail reform to change it, to give more latitude to judges. And it's everybody would like an on-time budget, but it looks like we may have an April 15th or even later budget. Now, what that does is it causes the employees of the Senate, of the governor, of the Assembly, all their workers won't get paid after April 1st if there's no budget. That's what happened several years ago. They did not get paid, so the Assembly and Senate and the governor all of a sudden got together, worked out a deal, and that's probably what's going to happen here. The word is compromise. The Senate has to compromise, the Assembly compromises, and the governor compromises. It's no longer three men in a room, it's now two women and a man. So Carl Hastie is the odd man out, unfortunately. The governor proposed a $227 billion budget. The state Senate has proposed a 233 state budget. And rejected items. The governor, she's talking about an upzoning plan, as well as Mayor Adams' plan to add housing in New York City. But such a proposal seems like a tax, incentive to change current offices into apartments. It appears that with more permanent remote positions, that the office space in Manhattan has been empty for years, and that the mayor and the governor want to make it into housing. They want to remove the floor to area ratio cap to allow for taller buildings. For instance, in an R6 zone right now, a building can go, which used to go before Mayor de Blasio, only 75 feet or 6 stories, because that was the tallest ladder that the fire department had. Mayor de Blasio had the city council under Melissa Mark Viverito, who was the speaker, raise the size of the R6 buildings to 85 feet to allow them to go up to 85 feet, to 8 stories rather. However, there is added provisions that allow for added height. If one puts in a community facility, they are given extra height. And if there's a certain percentage of affordable housing, they also get extra height. So that 8-story building could wind up either 10 or 12 stories. So, the zoning regulations mean something, but if you give added bonuses, those zoning regulations go out the window, and you could have a building almost twice the size that it should be. The good cause eviction legislation backed by the Senate that supports tenants, it protects them, that aligns with core principles of good evictions, which the governor has declined to back. She doesn't like that. She doesn't want to back it. She says no. The 421A, which was a tax break for building new affordable housing, the governor wants to spur over 407,000 units of housing in the next decade with something similar. And last year's request by the governor was rejected by the state Senate and Assembly. So there is no incentive to build affordable housing right now. The only incentive is really in New York City, where the HPD, Housing Preservation Development, run by former vice president of Stag Developers, now the head of HPD, Adolfo Carrion, who is also a former Bronx Borough president, now gets to give developers money to build affordable housing. For instance, there's a unit going up on Boston Road at 2560 Boston Road. The zoning was changed to allow it to go to 10 stories because it will have a community facility of over 7,000 feet. So you're going to see bigger houses, or I should say bigger buildings, much like you saw on the west side of the Bronx, coming to the east side of the Bronx. Next item, the Kingsbridge Armory. We're back. It looks like we're back to square one on the Kingsbridge Armory. A recent press release today from State Senator Gustavo Rivera says that the Kingsbridge Armory, they're having a meeting actually today. It's going on right now from 11 to 2 p.m. And Sunday, March 26th, they will have another one. It is on my blog at www.100%bronx.blogspot.com. All the details on that. It's being done by the New York City Development Corporation. There is also a tour of the Kingsbridge Armory. I've been in there. It's a big empty building. Mayor de Blasio once used it for an emergency food relief center when the pandemic was on and people couldn't go out and shop. He had taxis come in, load up with packages, give them addresses, and they delivered the packages of food for the mayor. The Northwest Bronx Church and Clergy Coalition is also sponsoring a meeting and a tour at PS 340 on West 195th Street, 25 West 195th Street. This Saturday, March 25th at 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. is the meeting. And they're also having a walking tour of the Armory from 1 to 2 p.m. You have to RSVP to info@northwestbronx.org. There's also tomorrow at 12 p.m. a Kingsbridge Armory public workshop meeting at the Lehman College Music Building. You will see me there tomorrow probably. Because the Kingsbridge Armory, the original proposal for the Kingsbridge Armory by Mayor Michael Bloomberg was to have the shops in the Armory. The borough president at the time, Ruben Diaz Jr., saw that if you put shops in the Armory, you're going to hurt Fordham Road and hurt Kingsbridge Road. So what that would do in that case, then, what people didn't realize was that was the mayor's plan back then. Mayor Bloomberg wanted to have buildings come up right next to the subway that runs on Jerome Avenue, right next to the Armory. So he would have them on Kingsbridge Road and Fordham Road for people just to go into like Wall Street or downtown. So this way he would kind of revitalize or gentrify the area, as it's called. As is happening down in the South Bronx below the Bruckner Boulevard. There are now five big buildings that are up, and the rents are now, you can't afford them. They're like $3,000 for a studio and up. So this is the regentrification. People can no longer afford rents in Manhattan that are $5,000 for a studio. So now you can go across the water into the South Bronx by Alexander Avenue, and it's all been regentrified, and it looks much like Manhattan. And you just walk out of the building, you go right across the water, and you're in Manhattan. So this is what's happening to the city, or I should say to the Bronx. Little by little, they're coming up. They're gentrifying the Bronx and moving people out. This happened up in White Plains several years ago, but I'm going to say one final thing now. All right, Community Board 10, the district manager, Matt Cruz, they had a meeting last night, and there was a resolution to allow a increase in the district manager's salary. Matt Cruz was one of the lowest paid district managers in the Bronx. We have a couple, some of the old ones have left. And those community boards will be saving money because those old district managers made about $125,000 a year. And with new district managers coming in, the salary range should be anywhere from $65,000 to $75,000. Now, District Manager Cruz, I understand, received a 10% increase in his pay, which probably will bring him up to close to $90,000. All right. Matt Cruz, the district manager of Community Board 10, is one of the hardest working district managers in the Bronx. And I congratulate Matt Cruz on obtaining that increase from the community board. I understand it was a close vote, but congratulations, Matt Cruz. And that brings me to the end of our show right now. So I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully next week I will go back to having guests. I'm trying to get the 4 Democratic candidates who are running for District 13. They are the current incumbent, Marjorie Velazquez, who is the councilwoman. She also had a district meeting on this past Monday where she said that she has co-sponsored almost over 250 items of legislation, and her major item was the bill that now, so you won't find those condiments and utensils all over the place, that you now have to ask for utensils and condiments when you go into, say, a Chinese restaurant, that they don't just give it to you and then you just throw it away. So now you have to ask for it. That was her major bill that she has passed, and other things. And also it was nice to see Borough President Vanessa Gibson at this event. Again, there's a recap of what the district State of the District meeting was on my blog. In the left side with the where you find everything. So like I said, let me close this now, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
Undoubtedly, Africa is the best tourism destination on Earth. The continent is blessed with the most conducive atmosphere. To feel and enjoy these blessings, join the most productive one-week tour of the continent organized by Daylight Africa every September 2nd to September 9th to see beyond the fallacies about Africa on the mainstream media. Contact us at daylightafrica@gmail.com or call 718-822-5555. Daylight Africa. Revolutionizing tourism industries in Africa.